So you're thinking about moving to Dallas, Texas, but you're not really sure what's going to be the best option for you. Should you rent? Should you buy? It seems like this market is getting crazier by the day. Now that people that told us they were going to wait from last year are really regretting that decision. But is renting a safe option right now? On top of that, rental rates are on the rise, and this is something that you need to account for because there's no guarantee there. So in this video, we're going to dive into a couple of scenarios that is happening right now in the Dallas market, look at a couple of different articles, what's the updates, what's going down, and hopefully this helps you kind of make a better decision. And we're going to get after it right now. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is about living in Dallas, Texas, then subscribe below, tap the bell for notifications so you can be the first to learn about the current market here in Dallas. My name is Levi. You know my partner Travis, the team and I, we get calls every day from people just like you and you and you and you looking to make their move to Dallas. We love it. So whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, just give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email. Happy to help you make that smooth move to Dallas. So in this video, what I wanted to talk about is share something with you real quick. If we take a look at my screen here, there's a couple of things coming up here. I mean, think about this. This article just came out. Dallas-Fort Worth is the country's hottest spot for apartment sales. Now, what they mean is that basically being leased as well. So this is what happened down here. I've looked at a couple of things. It looks like Dallas area rents rose 18.6%. From last year up to $1,500 a month. And if they raise another 18%, which actually they raised 18% from the year before as well, that would be an additional $300 on your rental payment if they rose from the average of $1,500 a month. And so that's where the rental rates are going right at this time on apartments. And you think about this, if you're looking for a rental home, you're in the same situation of overpaying right now, or overbidding. Actually, you're overbidding and overpaying. So we've had we discussed this in one of our last videos, you know, overbidding versus overpaying. Well, on rental homes, you are actually overbidding and overpaying, because right now what investors are doing is listing rental homes at market price, and they're typically getting anywhere from $200 to $400 over, because there's multiple offers on the rental homes as well. Now, if you go into apartments, not quite the situation, but look at this other report that just came out. If you look down here, the overall vacancy rates in Dallas, a record low of 2.3%. So apartments are even hard to find right now in Dallas. And we're seeing this in service as far as trying to find apartments. I mean, the apartment complexes, if they are not being very as responsive, they have plenty of applicants. I mean, most of them are completely sold out, and people are continually moving here. Plus you have all the people that moved here over the last year, 2, 3 that are renting right now, and they're probably scrambling looking for other places because rental rates have risen on top of that. And even though you're at an apartment complex, you know, a 1-year lease is a 1-year lease. You're only locked in on that rate for the time being. The apartments, a rental home, anybody has the right to raise that rent no matter what once that lease expires. And so a lot of investors right now are willing to do that, to raise the rents, because they know if somebody decides, hey, this is going to be too expensive for me, then they're just going to put it back on the market, and it's going to go that quickly because there's such a demand here in the Dallas area. And this is the things that you just want to keep in mind, is that we don't see a slowdown in this market in Dallas, at least anytime soon, because of the amount of migration coming from all of the outside states, the coastal states. I mean, California, New York, Washington State, Oregon, Illinois, I mean, DC. We're seeing a huge influx from all of these areas coming to Dallas. On top of that, you've seen the news. Major corporations are moving their whole company, you know, to the Dallas area. On top of that, I mean, Austin as well, but even in Dallas, you know, I would still say Dallas is definitely a better price market and overall than Austin. Austin is definitely way above what it should be on home prices. But the thing is that, you know, if you're going to rent, you have zero guarantee year to year to year. Now, you put that up against buying a home right now. Maybe you are buying what some would consider at the top of the market, but the reality is let me share with you another article on here real quick. Is North Dallas median home prices jumped 23%. Again, year over year, and that was about the average of the home price increases in Dallas last year was on, depending on which report you read, between 20 to 25%. Well, you think about it, the last report on inflation was 11%. Imagine inflation being at 11%. real estate right now is really the only thing that's getting appreciation and growth over that 11% inflation rate. Your cash definitely isn't doing that. It's losing value. You've seen what's happened on the stock market lately and everything else. It's not looking good right now for any other type of investment, hardly. I mean, even the cryptos had a major crash over this last week, and some people lost a lot of money there, but real estate continues to rise and rise. So if you can afford to buy a home right now, maybe it's not the ideal price that you're looking for, but with the rates continually going to rise or the appreciation going to rise, is that a better bet? But also, you're locking in your payment. I mean, if you lock in a payment on a 30-year mortgage, that is going to be your payment on that mortgage over the next 30 years. Now, that does differentiate with taxes, because there can be some increase in taxes. So that's something to keep in mind as well. But here in Texas, you have homestead exemptions. You can protest your taxes as well to lower those. On top of that, there's special exemptions, especially for veterans based on your disability rating. And there's several other options depending on the criteria that you may qualify for that can help relieve some of that tax burden on the homes. So mostly you're going to be in a better position. At least your interest and principal is going to be locked in. That's not going to fluctuate, as to where the apartments and the rental homes right now can be on a year-to-year basis. And we are seeing that over and over again in this market right now. As soon as that one-year lease comes up, most of the investors that own those homes are saying, hey, here's the option. We're going to increase the rent by $100 or $200. You can stay or you can go. I mean, that's the alternative. And so this is happening over and over again. But now with the rents increasing on average 18% over the last 2 years in a row, where else are you going to go? So the affordability on the apartment side is also decreasing on top of that. But I wanted to share with you real quick on here too. Let's look at the mortgage rates. Okay, mortgage rates, this recent article says mortgage rates bounce back from record lows. All right, well, what they're saying is that it's getting back. But I want you to take a look at this. Now, we haven't really seen the fives, almost for the last decade, but still, what I want to show, look at this. You still hover pretty much right around the 4.5s, high threes, 4.5s. You can see here even 4.45 in January 2019. The house that I'm in right now, I bought in January of 2019, and that's where my interest rate was at. It was 4.45 or 5, somewhere around that area. And at that time, I didn't bat an eye at that interest rate. I know people were buying homes at that time as well, and they didn't think twice about that interest rate either. Now, you have to consider that these low 2 and 3 interest rates, which we've really never seen before, that was in the middle of a pandemic. They did that to try to get people to encourage buying and to help us get out of the recession that we saw from the pandemic. So that's something that you have to keep in mind. We may never see those rates again. Possible. So, 4, 5, 6s, and 7s, those are really typical interest rates and usually on the average. And you can see at this chart, I mean, look at this, 1981, as high as 18.25%. That was an all-time high. But you look at over this since 2005, I mean, even in, 2007, 2008, 2009, during the crash, they barely came down to high 4s, low 5s over that time. And that was after one of the biggest real estate crashes in history there. So even the rates hovered around high 4s and low 5s even after that. So they knew that that still encouraged buying. And that's whenever I started to pick up a majority of my rental properties, was after that last crash, and held them over the last 7 to 8 years, sold them all off 2 years ago. And I probably should have waited 2 more years. I wasn't expecting this to happen, right? But no problem. Hey, I still did well because I bought them in 2009, 2010, whenever the market was at lows. But the situation is this, is that you can make money in any market. You can find a good deal in any market. Investors, everyday people, they buy and sell properties in up markets and down markets. The point is that you really have, number one, you got to work with a great team. And in this year alone, we've already helped well over 100 families secure homes on the buy side, which means we've won over 100 homes for our clients so far. Now, we've had several of them that have just paid list price. We've had several that have only paid to $10,000 over, $20,000 over. And because we always look at every home on a case-by-case basis. So the thing is that we don't have to worry about the overall market. We need to look at the one home that you're interested in that may be a good fit for your family, and then work on how are we going to win that home for you. Now, we always have that discussion with our clients and let them know ahead of time what it's going to take to get that property. Now, if they're okay with that and it's within the budget and the parameters of what they're willing to do, then we go after it and give every intention of winning that home. And what we're also seeing is that we haven't had a client of ours pay out of pocket on appraisal waiver. We may submit an appraisal waiver to help win that deal, but we're really good at looking at the comps and what that home will likely appraise for. So even if we overbid and the home appraises for what we overbid on it, then you didn't overpay and you didn't come out of pocket for an appraisal difference. So the appraisal difference means if you buy a home at 560 and it appraises at 530, you'd have to pay that $30,000 difference out of pocket plus whatever your down payment is on the $530,000 house. But what we're seeing is that if we say, hey, we can win this home by bidding 560, but we believe it's going to appraise at 560. You see, you overbid to win that home because maybe it's listed at 525, okay? But that's different. If we overbid and then it appraises at 560, then you didn't come out of pocket, and because the market is appreciating that quickly here in the Dallas area, you didn't overpay at that time. But you have to consider, is that in your budget? Is that in your monthly budget with everything as well? Or, because if we're looking at a 525 home and you pay 560, you are going to be paying a mortgage if you don't want to pay that additional amount down. Now, some people want to pay cash, not only just on the down payment, but a little extra to get that down, but completely up to you. But ultimately, what I want to encourage is that you have to look at every avenue, decide what's going to be best for your family. Even if you're coming here from out of state, which we help a lot of relocation clients. The main thing is that if you buy a home, because a lot of people say, well, I want to get to know the area first. Well, first of all, watch the channel, right? We've got videos on every single suburb in the Dallas area. So this should give you a great idea of where you may want to live. Now, even if you rent, if you rent, you're not really knowing the area that you're renting in. You're kind of taking a gamble on that. Plus, you're saying I'm willing to move in a year or two anyway. So what if you bought a home, gain that appreciation? Let's say it stays at 23, 25% over the next 2 years. Can you imagine if your home appreciated 50% over the next 2 years, and then you were able to sell that, take that capital gains at really at no tax right now for up to $500,000 if you're a married couple, and use that additional cash as a payment for the home that you do find after getting to know the area? That could be a big difference than for renting for a year or two, and then possibly your rent going up on you after the lease expires, and then you have to pay more towards that, and that could actually eat away. And I do know this, if you rent, that money is gone. You are paying a mortgage, you're just paying somebody else's mortgage at the time. So, really think about that. Even, I understand, look, we work with a lot of relocation. It's our primary business. We help people from out of state every single day. But if you come in, you buy the home, if it's not 100% what you're looking for, give it 2 years. Trust me, it'll come quicker than you think. And what if the possibility of your home appreciating 50% by that point, or 25% 1 year and then another 25%, giving you some serious equity in your home that you may be able to use on your forever home, or the home that does fit more of your criteria, or in the absolute best school district that you want to be in. There's all those different options that you can take into account. And so that's just something that you want to think about before making that decision and making that move here. So just some food for thought, and hopefully this helps out and clarifies a few things based on what we're seeing, not only in the market, but what's happening in the news, the rental rates rising, appreciation going up, inflation, everything. But still, real estate is one of the safest bets for you to hedge against inflation. And also, once you lock in your principal and interest, it's locked in. And if rates ever do drop down to the 4s, 3s, and 2s again, which, hey, they likely could do that, you have the opportunity to refinance. And nothing wrong with that either. You could either do cash out equity finance, or you could just refinance, and reduce the payment. So something to keep in mind. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email. Again, whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, feel free to reach out. And until next time, well, we hope to show you around town.